Hello guys, welcome back to Think Rugby Podcast, Season 2, Episode number 25. And it's round number 2 of the Six Nations review, and also the preview of the round 3, which is to come this coming weekend. My goodness, some more twists and turns in the rugby world, unexpected kind of turns. The bookies probably had a pretty good day, I guess, with some of those results and outcomes that came in. However, we'll dig into it. Main chunk being Scottish fans, being Scottish yourselves. We will speak about the Calcutta Cup. England were massive favourites going into the game. At BT Murrayfield, or Scottish Gas Murrayfield, sorry, apologies, can't get that wrong. It's never an easy place to go. However, I was totally convinced that England were going to steamroll Scotland, and for good reason as well. England undefeated for over a year. Scotland just coming off the loss against Italy and a very unimpressive Quarter Nations series back in November. And Scotland decided to think, no, not today. It's the time to turn into like prime All Blacks from 2015, and let's just show England what we're all about again. And it was honestly like one of the most exciting games of rugby I've seen in absolute years. I mean, you get games that you just remember, and that'll be one of the games that you remember for a long way to come. Before we get into the nitty gritty and all the kind of finer details of the match itself, what's your kind of outlook on it, Andy? What were you expecting, and how did you feel afterwards?
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. That was how I was feeling afterwards. That's pretty much it. Pleasantly surprised afterwards. I didn't expect very much from Scotland for this game, but it proved me wrong.
No, 100%. I guess we'll start with the very beginning. Yeah, Scotland, they got off to a really quick start, and it wasn't, again, in terms of game plan, I don't even think it was really okay. They got to the edges really well. They were getting from edge to edge extremely well. They're utilising Kyle Steyn and even Jamie Dobie to a certain degree, but more Kyle Steyn extremely well. He must have evaded like obscene amount of defenders that game. From minute 1 to minute 80, he was honestly like catching the high balls, tackling everything in his way. Same with Jamie Dobie, to be fair to him, evading tacklers, just being an absolute nuisance to that England defence, and they had no answers to players like Russell, like Steyn, even Tuipulotu. It seemed like Hugh Jones seemed to have a quiet game apart from the two tries he scored, which were two very well executed tries. I mean, that first one, Finn Russell with the palm into the space for Hugh Jones to score. I mean, that's just Finn Russell just showing again why he is one of the best, if not the best, fly half in the world, especially in open play. He can create something out of nothing, and that kind of close quarter pressure, the cooley as you like, a little tuck pass. Not many people can do that under that kind of pressure, given the game that it was as well. The pressure that Scotland were under, and also being against England as well. That is extreme bottle. But you've got to expect that from world-class players like Russell these days. Tuipulotu as well, absolute stormer for a game. I think he went under the radar a little bit, mainly because the players like Darge had a stormer, Steyn had a stormer. Matt Fagerson played really well when he came on. And yes, I think Tuipulotu went under the radar quite a bit, but I think he gave the backs quite good go forward, offset piece. You seen him just aim running down the channel, George Ford, and Fraser Dingwall, who he is a significant amount heavier and more powerful than them, and he was utilising that to his full advantage and giving Scotland in the forwards kind of front ball as well. And the forwards carried it on, which gave Russell even more space to play with. And you know what like Russell is when he's got a pack going forward in front of him. He gets so much time and space, and yeah, Russell just kind of cooked. It probably helped that he plays with like the Guy Pepper and Sam Underhill. He knows exactly what they're like, especially in defence. He knows like what their tendencies are in defence in terms of maybe shooting up and everything. There was a few Bath players in that England team and in the pack in particular. So I don't know if that was maybe a flaw from Steve Borthwick picking Underhill and Guy Pepper in the same back row, because Russell would know how to kind of play that to Scotland's advantage, being clubmates with them. But I'm not sure. There was just a little kind of conspiracy that I kind of had that Russell. The game suited Russell to an absolute T, based off the kind of conditions and based off how the flow of it. Again, it was quite open at times. It was like kind of breakaways, just like making something out of nothing with a couple of Scotland's tries. Ben White's in particular, when Russell went down that blind side and created it with a little chip over. Okay, unfortunately, with the bounce of the ball for Ellis Genge, but you've got to be there to score it. And Ben White, as any good scrum half is, he was just down that, I guess, in a supporting kind of line. Just managed to like bounce onto the ball and tap it down. Honestly, that first half, I just couldn't believe it. It was a 17-0 before England got any points. It could have been, I think it was 17-0 before England got any points in that game. And you just knew the feeling of a Murrayfield. You're like, this is Scotland's day. It's got to be. No repeat of Argentina, please.
Yeah, no, I have to be honest. There was obviously a lot of talk in the week from the press regarding Gregor Townsend, and
Mm-hmm.
Sione Tuipulotu even came out himself and said, yeah, they felt bad for everything that had went his way. You know, players taking a bit of responsibility. I think that's kind of unprecedented. I'm not sure if I've ever came across a player saying, yeah, I feel a bit guilty actually for all the flack that's coming the head coach's way. You are right though, the performance and the vibe around Murrayfield, it was like, wow, how good were Scotland in that opening exchange? And as you say, Kyle Steyn, deserved man of the match, it has to be said.
Oh,
Um,
100%.
Interestingly enough, though, a lot of hate towards Townsend, whether or not you like him or not, is a different thing altogether. But I said this to you on WhatsApp before the game, and I also put it onto Twitter. I was crying with joy. Grant Gilchrist was not involved, he was nowhere to be seen. And everybody was so annoyed about the team selection. Don't get me wrong, Townsend, like, this result does not change my thoughts on Gregor Townsend. He should be away at the end of the Six Nations, but this was a very good result. But yeah, he got the team selection right for this game, is all I'm going to say.
He coached it well. He coached a win. I can't lie. I can't say it otherwise. Players, of course, they stood up well, but team selection wise, he's showing why Stein's in the team, keeping Lex Darcy and Duhan out under the high ball in particular, and also evading defenders. Really interesting, just the whole game in general. I'm going to kind of move on to England in just a moment. But before that, yeah, it was the first time since 1998, I believe, that there wasn't a single Edinburgh rugby player in the squad. Sorry, in the starting 15. Again, it kind of again in terms of selection and just like game management or man management, Townsend got absolutely spot on. I don't think there was a single player there. Okay, the scrum was going back a little bit, but it was going back even when even when Screaming was on as well. So like, kind of goes to show, like, yeah, I was also very impressed with like the players that came in. Even Dave Chevy, who came in, who's playing in the second tier of France. I think he was pretty steady enough. Whether you expect it or not, at the age he's at and the level he's playing now, it's like it's still below international quality level that he's playing at just now in terms of club side. But he came in, he just kind of fitted in quite the thing. Brilliant to see Gregor Brown in. Like I say, Gilchrist, they needed to try something different, and it worked. High risk, high reward. Cummins had a stormer. Cummins could have got more in the match. Cummins made about 19 tackles, 17 or 19 tackles. Yeah, line-out wins was unbelievable. The line-outs were so much better this week. So Cummins had a really solid game, especially in defence. One of those workhorses that you look for, which is probably why he was selected for the Lions back in summer. But you wait to say something there.
Yeah, I was going to say that the lineouts were vastly improved, and they were, but they were also unchallenged for quite a lot.
I reckon it was to nullify the rolling maul. I think they maybe thought Scotland were going to maul it a bit, which, to be fair, I don't
We
know
usually do.
why they usually do, but at the same time, there was a couple of squint throws, and this new rule, like, all you've got to do is just throw one guy up at the front or just anywhere, and if it's a squint throw, then it's a scrum to yourself. So I was surprised, but Scotland were clever. They were setting pods outside of outside the line out, so they weren't mauling for too long. Like I think I said to you, they were. I said it on camera actually, that Tuipulotu given to him off first phase off the line out, and he was just making a beeline down the 10-12 channel, absolute beeline for it. And again, taking the 10-12 out of the game, two players. I know it's like maybe the less inferior tacklers. However, Dingwall's actually not too bad, to be fair. But yeah, like again, in terms of game plan, I can't emphasise it enough. They stuck to it and they believed in it, and they were patient. And when the chance came, the holes were there and they exploited to an absolute T. I was really happy with how that first half went. Second half, like as you say, it was a wee bit slower. I think if you look at the actual scoreline, if you just based off the second half, I think England won the second half scoreline wise. So that's one thing to kind of think about moving forward. Did Scotland slow down a little bit? They obviously did enough, and they got into a strong enough lead. England definitely were kind of, I guess, run out of time towards the end. They were 11 points ahead, behind still, which is a significant kind of amount to be behind by. But it was England did kind of have a slight kind of fight back. Let's move on to the main talking point in the game, though. Henry Arundel, 2 yellows equaling a 20-minute red card. What were your thoughts on both instances?
Well, honestly, when it happened, and after watching it back, two completely different thoughts. The first thought was when I watched it live, I was just like, yeah, we'll take that. Watching it back, I think it was a bit harsh. I think a penalty and a final warning would have been adequate. I think it was over the top. The second one, I'm like, yeah, that's a definite yellow card, and yeah. I have to say, I was a bit surprised with his decision making amongst other players of England. Decision making did improve in the second half.
I think for this first yellow card, was the hands in the. It wasn't just the hands in the ruck. It was like you get slowing down the ball and you can get penalised for slowing down the ball like that. That's very common, but it's tactical because you'd rather slow down the ball and just get like a final warning, just to get this kind of sting up the Scotland attack. However, I think it's because when he did it, the ball spilled out the ruck, so there was no kind of advantage at all. And the referee just thought that's really negative play, bang, straight yellow. And that's my explanation to it. That would be my explanation, being perfectly honest. But that's it. I still thought a little bit harsh, but I won't complain too much. I'll take it because we capitalised off it. But then, yeah, the second one was a rival podcast. I don't even know the name of the podcast, just seen that clip. They were trying to plead Arundel's innocence and saying what could he have done in that situation. And I was like, hold on a minute, what are you on about? He was saying he's got to have the right to compete for the ball. And I was like, yeah, okay, fine, but you've actually got to look at, you've got as soon as it's an aerial battle, you are responsible for any player in the air. And the fact that Arundel never left the ground, that's exactly why it was a second yellow. I mean, it wasn't a straight red. It was just definitely a yellow, a yellow at best. Let's keep the rugby to some sort of correctness, should we say, before it gets too silly. But I don't know what the person was like. He was barking up the wrong tree there. I think he was maybe just being a bit bitter. It's a shame for Arundel because he was a fantastic player. Thankfully, I took him out my fantasy team, and a lot of people hadn't, so I got a head start compared to other people in my fantasy, at least. It was a shame for Arundel, and it was a massive turning point in the game, as you'd expect, with a 20-minute red card. England were down to 14 men for 30 minutes of the whole game. It's a long, long time to be a man down. And again, like I say, Scotland utilised it. Jamie Ritchie was pretty good, though, I think, for that first half until he got injured.
Definitely, yeah. As I say, the same thing happened last year, and that was why I said last week, yeah, I could imagine him coming back in. And yeah, just that disruptive style of player that you would have at blindside. Yeah, I think he came in and did his job pretty good. And this is kind of where it's the whole like the France England with deeper squads probably going to be benefiting more from this next game this week, whereas the likes of Scotland, it's not a great lineup. I mean, don't get me wrong, you'll get Fagerson to come back in, or other options to come in, but there's not a lot of Jamie Ritchies out there.
Do you think Freddie Douglas will be in with a shout?
If you're giving Freddie Douglas a shout, then I think you should consider Hamish Watson. He still has a couple of good games left in him, I think.
Andy, come on. Come on. I can't believe you said Fine. I'm not going to dispute it. Scotland won 31 points to 20 full time. It leaves me in great delight. I want to touch on it.
But before we move on too far, one thing I would like to point to is, well, a few things. The first thing was that scrum was fucking awful. It was improved from last weekend, but it's still fucking awful. Genge was bullying Fagerson, and don't get me wrong, props can have off days. I think that was one day to forget for Fagerson. Like, Genge he was
Genge was good.
Like the focus for that he was involved in when Ben White picked it out. But yeah, the scrum was very fucking poor, and Scotland as well. No scores in the last 25 minutes. That's concerning. We had 3 penalties in the last 15 minutes anyway. Chose to go for a line out, didn't score.
Like I said to you, see, like Red Bull entry, you said Scotland's entry into 22 was really effective this game. But it was, because obviously you've got to score a try you've got to get into the 22 anyway. But all Scotland's attacks started from well outside the 22. I mean, one was a charge down, the other one was like when Genge spilt it. One was Jamie Ritchie's when it was like end-to-end stuff. And then the only one that kind of was phase play was the first one, which was when Russell tapped on Hugh Jones. So it wasn't like a case of being really, really clinical inside the 22 for like a duration of time over through phase play. It was more just a case of just like in the 22, 1 or 2 phases later, bang, score. So yeah, like you're right in that aspect. There's not really that much there really. In like a team like, I know they're not playing France till a couple of weeks' time. But a team like France and even Ireland, they'll scramble very quick and they will be really on the money with it, on the ball with like their jackal threat they've got in their squad. With Wales this coming weekend, they might get off it a bit, but I don't know. I don't think it's the most ideal game to play before going into the big one against France, especially so now we're second in the league just now, which is absolutely incredible to kind of believe based off last week as well. But we're currently second in the standings, so I'll take it. I take it as it comes. But here's hoping for some success, even though it was a rocky kind of start just last week, which kind of put a dampener on winning this weekend as well. But never mind, can't get everything in life, I'm afraid, especially being a Scottish fan. You can't expect the world. But yeah, so I guess we summed it up. So it's the Scotland game. Scotland have retained the Calcutta Cup. Congratulations, Scotland. And then yeah, so moving on, let's go to the Italy game. Speaking of scrums, Italy vs Ireland. I have never seen Tide Furlong be manhandled like that in a scrum ever. And it wasn't just, to start with, it was Clarkson, and then Furlong came on to steady the ship and just got popped up out the scrum. When that happens to you, that as a front rower, my dad was saying he was a prop back in his day, that is literally the most demoralising thing ever to happen to you as a prop, is to get popped up and get pushed back like that. I'd never seen that coming. Spoiler alert, Ireland won the game, 20 points to 13. But oh my goodness, what a performance that was from Italy. Showing that it wasn't just a fluke last week. They really turned up at the Aviva. I thought, I was going into the game, pretty sure I predicted Italy to win by 3 last week. I really thought it was going to happen. I knew it would be close anyway. They were missing Brex because due to family reasons, which was one big miss in the midfield. Pani came into 12, Minicello to 13, and Minicello with another man of the match like performance. What a player he is. He's only 22, 23 years old still. What a player. Garbisi was pulling the strings well. Pani came in at fullback and he controlled the game effectively. But also the Ireland players, McCloskey, he had a pretty decent game, solid game at 12. 2 assists on the day as well. Balaku, who came in for the first time in 4 years for Ireland on the wing, came in. I generally could see him, maybe I wouldn't say he's going to overtake Hansen or Lowe, but he's definitely going to be in the mix above other players. I don't think you'll see Stockdale again in an Ireland shirt. I think Stockdale would be the main one. To be honest, like Balaku, it was a man of the match. Well, he got man of the match actually. He scored the winner at the end of the day, and it was a lovely little step to evade. I think it was Canone and Zani at fullback. Brilliant finish. Folk kind of think because it was from so close, it was a really easy finish. Oh no. That was difficult. The explosive step and then still the composure to finish and not knock it on. That was a tricky finish. 5 caps for Ireland and he scored 3 tries, which is not too bad for Balaku. Yeah, I was quite impressed with him. James Lowe did a decent return, I guess. Wasn't absolutely stellar, but he did alright. Let's just put it like that. For just coming back, he did alright. Yeah, maybe expected a little bit more from our British and Irish line. I guess a Kiwi as well, playing the Irish colours. But the main talking point. Okay, I'm going to give you some free rein here, Andy, and I will not defend him. The main turning point was when 2 players came on, James and Gibson Park, but also Crowley. When them 2 came on, the game changed for Casey and Prendergast. What is your thoughts now after that Italy game about Sam Prendergast? Because I think you'll be very surprised with my answer.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to stand here and argue with you.
I think that it's time for Prendergast to hit the bench, and I think it's time for Crowley to get a 10 jersey on his back. Last week you could kind of be like, okay, you're playing France, you can sort of understand why you were struggling to get in and kind of go forward. This week against the Italians, who aren't a pushover by any means, but they're not a France. And Prendergast was a wee bit honking. He actually played better last week than he did this week, believe it or not.
I'd agree.
He was pretty naff. He was pretty naff this week. And I'm not on about his defence either, I'm on about his attack. Whether or not that's because his centres and his back 3 and maybe his pack weren't giving him the options, they were very flat. I noticed Ireland were extremely flat. And I think they've notoriously been quite flat, but it was very noticeable. And the Italian defence, again, just completely nullified it for the most part. That flat kind of attack Ireland do. I don't understand it because from kids rugby all the way through to adults, you always get taught to create depth in attack, especially in the back line, and they just didn't really have it. And Prendergast were getting caught out so many times. His kicking from hand, I'll give him a bit of flack for one of the spiral bombs he did. It was just a little bit of a misplace, but the box kick that he attempted is just like, it is literally as good as just giving the ball back to Italy. There was no contest or anything. I was very confused at why he came and tried to attempt the box kick. Unless that's coming from above, which I can 95% tell you it didn't. I don't know why he's doing that. An international scene or professional scene, an amateur scene. If one of my players did that at my club, I'd be absolutely fizzing. But it's what it is. I think it's time for Crowley to take the reins, especially Ireland go and face. Is it Ireland England this weekend?
Yeah.
The Ireland England this weekend. Because Ireland are going to face England as well. I kind of think, I'm sorry, I feel bad for the kid because he has got talent. He has shown it, but last time Ireland won the Six Nations, Crowley was at fly half and he's done nothing wrong, and now he's been put to the bench. And I just kind of think it's time for a change. You'd be delighted to hear that coming out my mouth, I'm sure. I think, and I can't really defend Prendergast too much anymore, other than he's maybe just not good enough yet to be that kind of position. Too much pressure for the kid. I think he needs support, definitely, and I think he still is like.
Do you think, just sorry for cutting you off there, Zav, but do you think it's maybe, do you maybe think that with Ireland, there's maybe a lack of leaders in the pitch, like Bundy Aki isn't back, Furlong, he was maybe on 20 minutes sooner than what everybody was thinking he would be. Is that maybe having an effect maybe more on Prendergast than like Crowley?
A wee bit. I mean, a wee bit. I'm trying to think of the players that they're missing. Like the two main ones that have been missing for a couple of years now is Sexton and Peter O'Mahony. They're the two main ones that have been gone. They were two like kind of leaders, enforcers. But you still got like Doris, Conan, Van der Fleer wasn't about this weekend. You've got Furlong that came off the bench. You're missing Bundy Aki. Lowe, Hansen and Keenan aren't there. So I guess in a way, Lowe was there, sorry, at the weekend. So I guess in a way, it's been very disrupted and it's not been consistent with your leaders throughout. Like leaders in like kind of in and out through injury or disciplinary issues or whatever reason. So it does play a big effect on you. The whole squad, that is, it plays a big effect. Because if you look at it, like, you've got Loman's playing alright, but he's inexperienced. Clarkson's inexperienced. Don Sheehan's having the worst run of games he's ever had in his life. The second row with whether it's McCarthy or it can be Tyburn. Tyburn was benched at the weekend, you've got to bear in mind. So he was my super sub for fantasy, did not too bad. So you've got Tyburn in the mix as well as a leader, but he was on the bench as well. Back row, you're looking at, you've got Doris and Conan, who did pretty well. Can't remember the other guy's name. It's Chizuk, something like that. Anyway, but he was another kind of learner driver. Debut actually, I'm pretty sure. So there's a few, like there was a lot of like young, inexperienced, like I wouldn't say debutants, folk with like in the single digits for caps. I mean, you can't help it. They're going to have to get their caps at some point somehow. But is it too many too soon? McCloskey's kind of been thrown into it, never really been given much of a chance. Yeah, I mean they had the autumn to kind of try them out in that as well, which is a fair point. But it's maybe they just accepted now they're going to like sacrifice the Six Nations to give these guys or bleed these guys in. Maybe this is what they're thinking. They'll have another Six Nations before the World Cup. So like, sorry, let's just do it now, and then now or never in a way, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I think you kind of said knocked on the head there. Is it too late? Because that's halfway through a World Cup cycle now before the next one. So yeah, so maybe it is just too little, too late. You just never know. Ireland's got a lot of promise coming through, but again, they've got some aging players, just like us all. Good point. What about the Wales game though? Did you watch that one? Did you bother watching that one?
Yeah, I actually watched more of the Wales-France game than the Ireland-Italy game, and my partner was watching it there with me, and she was far more sympathetic to Wales than what I was. I was just like, actually, you know what? Everybody like is so sorry for Wales, blah blah blah. I'm like, there was so much less sympathy for Scotland when they were shit. So why should we be any different to Wales? Yes, Wales might have won a few Grand Slams and championships and that sort of thing. That's fair enough. It was only laughing, not as I'm laughing at them to be coarse, to be nasty. No, it's comical at how bad they were, and you can't help but laugh. I mean, what goes around comes around. So yeah, Scotland will probably fucking lose to Wales this weekend.
I thought they were better this weekend than they were last weekend, to be honest. I mean, they're still miles off it. But Sam Warburton mentioned in the commentary, what do you expect from this Welsh side? You know the position they're at, and as long as they're showing progress and showing that they're going forward, that's the main thing. And for me, from that England game to the France game, there was a lot. Look, it was minimal, but there was progress nonetheless. Our phase play was a bit more consistent, and it was a tough. They've had the two of the worst games to start with, England Wales. So it is shit for them. So it might see a bit of kind of promise just yet in the next 3 games for them. Hopefully not this weekend, but they've been building a bit more phase play, more competitive in the air. Again, they've maybe left it a little too late with like a lot of their young players coming through. Some of it's not by choice really, because some guys just decide to hang their boots, maybe unexpectedly or suddenly. Yeah, it's a lot of kind of trial and error for Wales just now. And Steve Tandy, he's got a hell of a job on his hands, but I do think
They are
showing progress. 2 jobs in his hands, yeah, 2 jobs in his hands. One big one being that one, but yeah, it's I think Steve Tandy can do something for Wales. I'm not saying he's going to bring them back to like their past glories, but he can definitely do something in terms of just progress. That's all you ask for when you bring somebody in. That's got to be the objective for the WRU with Steve Tandy, is just show them direction and progress on the park, not necessarily like, I don't know, maybe their goal this year is just to win at one game, whether it beat Scotland, beat Ireland, or beat Wales. Beat Italy, sorry. And for me, that's progress. They've not won a Six Nations game in, 22, 23 games? It's going to happen sometime, and what better time than now, to be honest. This campaign, with Steve Tandy coming in, with them trialling all these new guys, a severe lack of international experience, I think it's probably like the best time for it to happen. No, I wouldn't say never, because it's not the end of the world if they don't win a game. But yeah, like I say, you can only progress for so long before it comes to a point it's like, okay, now we've got to win stuff here.
Yeah, so that was a nice little segue. That this weekend, Wales obviously host Scotland. That's at the 20 to 5 kickoff game. But first up is England Ireland at Twickenham, or the Allianz Arena, at 2:10. Who have you got to win, and by how much?
England will do it, especially at Twickenham. Yeah, England will win. And I dare say they'll probably win by I'm going to say maybe a 12. They'll be heartened, and I think Ireland, nobody's fool. So I'd say I'm going to say England by 12.
Nice. I've went England by 10. I agree with you. There's got to be a reaction to Steve Borthwick's team, who, for the record, have never beaten Ireland, Scotland, or France away from home. Moving on, Wales, Scotland. Okay. Who have you got and why? Or by how much?
You go first.
Yeah, I've got Scotland by 20.
Last time they played down in Cardiff, I was there. In Scotland were 27-0 at half time. And the full-time score was 27-26. I was shitting myself. That was an unreal electric stadium. It was a full stadium, may I add. I don't think it'll be full this weekend though. So I think Scotland are going to do it, but I think they'll maybe do it by 15. I think they don't be as convincing, but Scotland by 15. Steve Tandy will know a lot of these Scotland guys. It's more only kind of thought going through my head. He'll know how they set up an attack and everything, and he'll know how to defend it. And that's my only worry.
Fair enough. Point. France v Italy on Sunday, 3:10.
In Paris?
Yeah, it's in Paris, yeah. It's not in the Stade de France. I think it's in one of the other places.
I think it's in Lille, actually. Yeah. Lille's lovely. Big stadium. It's a really nice stadium. 50,000 folk or something. It's big enough, that's for sure. It's a nice little city. Anyway, so I'm going to say France by 18.
Okay, I think France will win by 15. So very, very close to that line this week.
That's really close this week. Aye, absolutely. Great minds, Andy. Great minds think alike. Or shit minds. We'll see how it goes. Either way. Let us know your predictions down in the comments, though, if you think we are speaking absolute dribble, or if your opinions and thoughts align with ours. Cool. Right, Andy, before we wrap up, you've got a nice little start of 15 that you think Tooney is going to go for at the weekend. I'm going to either disagree or agree with you. Probably agree with you. I don't know, actually. It could be a funny one being Wales. You just never know what it's going to go for. But what we'll do is we'll go over it: front row, second row, back row, then into the backs, etc., so on, so forth. So, Andy, who have you got in the front row?
Macbeth, Turner, Fagerson.
Unchanged. I can't disagree with you, being honest. A nice little kind of, well, but apart from Turner, nice little start with the Glasgow Warriors theme. I can't disagree with you, to be honest. I don't think they'll risk putting Scoobin after Macbeth performance, and I don't think Miller Mills is good enough to start in Scotland jersey just yet. So, second row.
Same again, Cummins and Brown.
Yeah, I'm the exact same. Brown and Cummins, especially after those performances, kind of work rate and workhorses. This is where it gets interesting. So, obviously, Jamie Ritchie is going to be out, and I think that they're going to go completely unchanged again and go fake. Well, actually, apart from Ritchie, sorry, they're going to take Fagerson in for Ritchie. So they go Fagerson, Darge, and Dempsey.
Yeah, that's what I've went with.
Half back pairing I've kept the same. I think Ben White's kind of proven his worth a wee bit. You can't really say much about him after that Saturday performance. I know he's not been your favourite flavour, especially with George Horn on the bench, but I just don't think they'll change the half-back pair, and I think that's kind of too pivotal to Scotland in the way they play. So I've just went with White and Russell.
Yeah, likewise.
Okay, I'll leave you to finish it off. Centres in the back three.
Centres, Hugh Pilotu, need I say any more? And then back three, Kyle Steyn, Tom Jordan, and Darcy Graham. Darcy Graham has a reasonable record against Wales.
Yeah. Do you know one player that I would like to see there on the wing, but I don't think he will? Is Kyle Rowe.
I wouldn't be against that.
I'd love to see Kyle Rowe get. I would like to see Kyle Rowe getting his chance, but I don't think he will. I've just got a feeling. But I've went with two Pilotu and Jones. Yeah, that's going to. That won't change. I don't think. Now I've went Darcy, Steyn, and TJ at fullback. It seemed to kind of work again. Well, I say again, it worked on Saturday, so long may it continue. But Wales do like to play a kicking game. They like playing long and tight, so it's going to be a big variation, big mix. So it's good to kind of cover all bases there. But I think we'll have, in terms of the kicking returns, with all three of those wingers actually, and the fullback, and then also competing for the ball in the air. I think we'll nullify that strength of Wales. Basically, actually, we're the exact same, to be honest. This weekend, I just think that's a general consensus. Why change something that works?
Well, you never know.
I mean, Jamie Dobie can't help you now. I think Jamie Dobie will be out for a wee while. I don't know if there's any team news that's been put out there, but I think he was kind of grasping at his elbow quite badly before he came off.
Yeah, it's not good to see, but I did think that Gregor would reward him with his effort. Albeit he was making a few mistakes against Italy, I did think he would be rewarded and keep his place, but that's...
If he's fit, I'd say. But I don't think he'll be fit. I think they'll sit him out for this game, just for the games to come. But yeah, nice one. Well, that's all what we've got time for this weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Get your predictions in, how you think the round have went, and how you think this next round will go as well. Yeah, so really exciting. In Scotland, I guess they've got a chance to, go topping again. You never know, but I can't see France slipping up, being honest. But Scotland definitely a chance to maintain that high standard and stay in the top two this weekend, which again, probably the bookies will be in favour of that to happen. Fingers crossed. Come on, Scotland, let's see what you can do. Let's really bounce back, should I say. Nice one, Bob. Thank you for listening. Anything else to add, Andy? Was that you?
No. Bye-bye.